Good evening. In a democracy, you have the right to change your government. That time has now come. Exercise that right. You'll remember the 2007 general election was a very close-run affair, and the GSD won the election by a whisker. Therefore, if you want a change of government on Thursday, you have to go out and vote for that change. Do not take anything for granted. Do not assume that other people of a like mind will do it for you. Every vote will count. If you want to change a government, you have to exercise your right to vote and make that change happen. I know there are many of you out there who do not belong to or support any political party, but who clearly believe that nearly 16 years is far too long for the same party to remain in power. Now is the time to make your views heard. I also know that there are others out there who have been disillusioned and disappointed by the GSD, even though you may have previously supported them. Now is the time to make your views heard. There is also a growing sector of our community that is completely fed up at the way in which they have been treated by the GSD and who want to change. Now is the time to make your views heard. Because you see, after so many years in power, the GSD behave as if they know it all. It is almost as if nobody is entitled to hold a different opinion. It is almost as if people are not entitled to freely express a dissenting view. Their answer to criticism has always been to respond with personal attacks on their opponents. They increasingly turn the focus on the personalities instead of on the policies. If this does not work, they resort to scaremongering. The GSD has always got to be right, and everybody else has always got to be wrong. This is, sadly, what their party is accustomed to for many, many years. It is curious that they have failed to realize, even at this late stage, that these tactics are totally counterproductive. It does not have to be this way. A GSLP Liberal government will transform the way in which Gibraltar is run. We have made a series of policy commitments in a manifesto and elsewhere which will make government more accountable to you. You, the citizen, will be in charge. The GSD have almost reigned over you for the last 15 years. In contrast, a GSLP Liberal government will be there to serve you. You will be in charge. We have been very critical in the past at the way in which the GSD has allocated lands and buildings which were previously owned by the Ministry of Defence. The two naval grounds in the centre of town were directly allocated to a developer without going out to tender. There was supposed to be a park, a car park, a leisure centre and a school provided in exchange for the land. Given that the leisure centre cost more than double what was originally envisaged, none of the other projects have materialised. Another plot of land at Buena Vista was allocated by tender to another developer for only £10 million. This is actually less than what OEM paid for it over 5 years ago. The East Side project, which was earmarked to a developer in 2003, has been announced and re-announced on several occasions, particularly at election time. Individual MOD houses have been allocated without respect for the tender conditions and in a way which was not provided for the best deal for the taxpayer. We know that people want to see a change to the way in which Gibraltar is governed. The GSD's pledge to change the political system almost at the last minute are not credible. They have had nearly 16 years in which to do this, and they have not done so. A GSLP Liberal government offer you a positive programme to overhaul the political system from top to bottom. We have already given details of a profound reform to the way in which a parliament works. We have explained our plans for a ministerial code. We have committed ourselves to introduce a Freedom of Information Act. We will release relevant government papers under a 20-year rule. We will protect those who air their concerns in the public interest under a Whistleblowers Act. We have pledged to introduce a Citizens' Charter. There will also be an anti-corruption authority that will have the power to investigate cases going back to 1988. We have a commitment for the complete overhaul of the planning system, which will allow for greater public participation. There will also be open meetings of the Development and Planning Commission. We have listened very carefully to your concerns about the style of the present government. The mechanisms that we will put in place will ensure that you are not taken for granted ever again. There are many cases of ordinary citizens who write to a minister and are not given the courtesy of a reply. There are other cases who receive an acknowledgement but no answer on the substantive point. It is totally unacceptable that people should be treated in this way. At election time, everything changes, overnight. Suddenly, meetings are arranged and suddenly letters are replied to. The attitude of the GSD in government has left much to be desired. You employ Mr. Caruana and you employ his ministers. They have no right to treat citizens with such disdain. In contrast, we have given a commitment in a manifesto to answer letters in a fixed period of time. You will no longer be made to wait for months or even years for a reply from a minister. You will be treated with the courtesy and respect that you deserve by a GSLP Liberal government. Gibraltar needs a change. We need a change of attitude and we need a change of government. On Thursday, I urge you to become part of that change by voting for the 10 GSLP Liberal candidates. Thank you for listening.
But it's time for change, time for change. It's time for some new blood, for someone that can truly understand. It's time for change, time for change. It's time to rearrange, to help all those who need a helping hand.
The future is in our hands. Take a good look around. Need someone that hears our demands. This time we can make it count.
There is hope in the air. There's a will to declare that it's time for change, time for change. It's time for some new blood, for someone that can truly understand. It's time for change, time for change. It's time to rearrange, to help all those who need a helping hand. It's time for change, time for change. It's time for some new blood, for someone that can truly understand. Time for change, time for change. It's time to